Welcome back. I'm Gary Parr.
And I'm Beth Ellicott.
And you're listening to Fiber Talk, the twice weekly podcast for needlework artists. Our artist this week from the No Rules Textile Society is Jayne Emerson. Jayne, welcome.
Hello. It's lovely to be here, Gary.
So glad to have you. Now, we got connected with Jayne when I was researching for Holly Jackson. So the show we did on, February 15 with Holly Jackson. And one of the components that she wanted to talk about was Jayne's No Rules Textile Society. And when I was researching, then I had to see, obviously I had to do research about the society, and I had to cut myself off because I went to your website and it was, wait a minute, I was supposed to research for Holly and I end up researching for Jayne. And so I write to Jayne while I'm doing that, researching for Holly to see if you'll do a show. So you said yes, so we got it. So bravo.
Wonderful. I loved listening to Holly's episode. I chuckled so much.
Oh, Holly's great.
She's just brilliant.
Yeah, she's great.
She's so no rules.
Yeah. Yep. No, that was really fun. Yeah, well, she wrote to me about the most recent one. I've got these three things that we can talk about. Would you want to do a show? And absolutely, without a doubt. And then it leads to you too. So, all right. So textile arts. We're going to get to the society. I want to explore the society, but your whole education, textile arts. Did you have a plan when you started down that path? Did you say, I'm going to go to the fashion world and design dresses and do wonderful things, or what? Or were you just taking a shot?
Gary, honestly, I don't think I've ever really had a plan. I'm not very good at planning. Everything has kind of been done on instinct, or happenstance, I guess. And I think you kind of have to have a plan to break the rules of the plan. But it's only when I do talks about my life that I realize quite how no rules and instinctive it's been. So I nearly went to university to do history. I was very persuaded by school. I'm sure we'll get to that later, that kind of unlearning. But they were like, no, you must go to university. And, you mustn't go to art college. If you can go to university, you should. And I didn't end up going. And then I did fashion. I thought that was what I wanted to do, but mainly because I didn't realize the potential opportunities and possibilities that were there.
Well, let's just back up to that one point right there. The parental pressure to go to university, to get that education, to get that degree, and you didn't do it. Was it a point where you put your foot down and said, I'm not going, or
actually, it wasn't my parents at all. My parents didn't want me to go to university.
Oh.
My dad was very like, isn't there an apprenticeship you can do? I was the first one in my family to go to university. It was my school that were going, you should go to university over art college.
Oh. And you said
because,
no.
I think a lot of, I was thinking about this, so many people in No Rules now kind of or so many people that I speak to wanted to go to art college, but were persuaded out of it because it wasn't a viable career and you should go and do something more academic.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm getting to. That's what I'm getting to is we do that all the time to students, to kids, you should go here, but that's not where they belong. Yeah.
Well, I was I had an amazing teacher at school, a textile teacher, and I just got on with her so well. And she showed me the possibilities because my grandmother was always making clothes for me. And I always was giving her new designs and going, can you make this? It was the 80s. It was backless things with little straps, things like that. And, but then my teacher at school showed me how to use a sewing machine creatively to draw with it, and my mind was blown that you could make clothes with a sewing machine, but then you could also draw with it. That was amazing. And so I kind of did an A-level in textiles, and she was like, you need to go and do this. I'd already kind of won a competition, I think it was a clothes show fashion challenge. It used to be a show that was on here in the UK. And I hadn't won it, but I won one of the regional finals of it. And she was just like, you have this talent, you should go. And I was like, I don't know. I'd failed my art GCSE, although I was the first year of GCSE. So I don't think we did the whole curriculum.
No.
But I kind of knew that the sewing machine was my tool, and I could be inventive and innovative with it. And always, so she wrote on my school report, Jayne has all the ideas, but everything she makes either falls apart or she doesn't finish it. So even then, you know, I just was blessed with having a lot of ideas. And I think I've spent my career, as we're going to talk about it, literally getting to a point now where that kind of is my superpower, dishing them out by teaching or creating them and finding pathways where I could use that particular bit throughout my career where I was just sparking ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we'll be talking about.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So when you say I'm going to do this path, in your mind, does your mind just settle and you feel like you're comfortable? Is it?
So I went and I did a fashion BTEC, which was basically kind of a vocational qualification to learn pattern cutting and doing tailoring. And I knew the things I didn't want to do. Anything that was the opposite of impatient, anything that involved like doing some things precisely, I was like not into. And even when I made this dress, for my final show, I just kept overlocking until it fitted the model. I was just like, there was no measuring. It was very no rules. So it was only when friends of mine said that they were going to look at a textile course, I was like, well, that sounds like a nice day out. I'll go to that. And so I went and I was like, oh my goodness, you could just concentrate on the texture and the textiles and make the fabric instead of having to make a garment precisely. Yes, that's me, please.
So that's when it sprung you free then.
Yeah. So then I applied. Well, no, because then I applied to that course, and the first year was all drawing, and I got F, massive fail. And then the only comment was no progression of ideas. And I think they said to me, Jayne, you haven't got it. You just need to go home. But I didn't go home. I moved all my stuff in a shopping trolley to a house share with friends, turned up the next year. And I was like, right, I'm here. You need to just give me a sewing machine. When I've got a sewing machine, I will be fine.
Oh.
And I don't know what happened, but they let me. And then I won the British Fabric Award that year and the Royal Society of Arts Award. I got the medal for being textile designer of the UK in my third year. And I got accepted onto Central St Martin's MA to do fashion. Because our external examiner was the head of that. She was like the formidable late Louise Wilson, who, so I ended up going to St Martin's after that and getting a first class honours degree. But when I got to St Martin's, I hadn't really researched that either. It was knit or print. And I was like, oh, I just want to carry on with my sewing machine. So I kind of did and carried on making samples. So I didn't realise at the time that I was being so, I'll just carry on my own path. It's only really when I kind of have done these talks since I've run No Rules, and I'm like, oh, that was very no rules. I just was quite like, this is what I do, and I'm going to do it. So yeah, and at the end of that MA, that was when an agent came round and said, we're looking for people to make samples and sell them to the fashion houses and interior houses. And they said, no, we just want print. We want print because then it can be, easily translated. And I was like, please see my work, because I had all these samples that were made with stitch. And they said yes in the end, and they took me on. And then I was selling to Calvin Klein, Diane von Furstenberg, everybody. They were always going over to the US, and I was sort of selling. And then I did that for a really, really long time. Sorry, that was like,
no. See, because
you asked the question,
no, but see, yeah, and I think I did put in the notes this quote, because we just did a show where we talked at length about this quote from Sir Ken Robinson about
Mm,
how basically we educate creativity out of students,
yeah.
and so you fought that the whole way. You just clung to your creativity no matter what was put in front of you, and you were just fortunate enough that you had some people who'd let you run with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Wow.
actually got a letter from Central St Martin's after I'd left saying thank you for expanding the course and bringing a whole new kind of slant to it, which was amazing.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Wow. Cause see, Beth, that's where we were at the other night when we were talking. Is that very thing? Kids. What's the difference? Have to have an opportunity. You've got to have an opening to be creative, and we have to quit shutting people down for that. Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
And it feels like now, this is a lot of what I'm doing in No Rules Textile Society, unlearning, kind of unlearning, helping people unlearn what they were taught at school and
Mm-hmm.
allowing them to be themselves. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine that I went to St. Martin's with, and she was like, I always just think I'm really uncool. But
Mm,
it's cool to be uncool. It's actually so cool to be uncool. If you are completely yourself, authentically, and what you really like and you stand by it, that's when the best work happens.
yeah, yeah.
You can just see it. It just has an energy to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there was no way you were going to go to a fashion house and make dresses. Just
No.
no. Yeah.
No, I also, in sort of leaning into what I really love, I've always loved the countryside. And I knew that I wasn't going to move to a city. And I've
Mm-hmm.
actually always loved my sleep, to be fair. And I could see that like fashion people were like working around the
Yeah.
clock. And I just knew that I wouldn't have the stamina for that.
Right.
I mean, not that I've got loads of energy, but I wouldn't have wanted to sort of do that. So I
Yeah.
actually ended up moving back to the countryside and working my career around living in a cottage in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, Beth, the number of people that we talked to who worked in high fashion, haute couture, um, they all got to that point. They couldn't take they just you burn out. You couldn't take it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of pressure, I think.
Right. And zero sleep, and yeah, all the
And how,
things.
and how can you be creative, truly creative on that lack of sleep? Um,
Well, I think they are. I mean, if you watch the Alexander McQueen film, like just so many people in that film that I went to college with, and I mean, the buzz, I still do love it. I'll watch a fashion show and be like, oh, but I just really love creating. I've always loved creating on my own, I guess. Even with my degree show, I sort of locked myself in a room and just got into flow.
Mm-hmm.
I love like just I do things through process. So in that kind of play flow state, it'll just be kind of almost downloading through, you're just kind of noticing things that you love, or out of something that fails, there may be something that really works. Quite often my sewing machine was going wrong and there was like threads tangling up behind it. And I was like, actually, I love that. It's like that Helen Frankenthaler quote where she's like, let mistakes lead to invention. It's,
Yeah.
just everything kind of going wrong or being messy and things landing next to something else or layering on top. And you're just, oh, I love the way that looks. Even now, we're doing a display prompt in No Rules. And whenever we have a prompt, that kind of word rolls around your head. And I'm just taking things off the wall and kind of putting them together in new configurations and just looking at them and daydreaming.
Mm.
I can sometimes reprimand myself because I haven't actually produced a thing that day. But what I've done is I've dreamed about things, or I've put things in different ways, or I've written stuff down, just scribbled stuff down. And that can often move you on further that daydreaming day than the very, very productive, I finished this and it's perfect day.
Well, I think so many people think that everything's got to be perfect is the other issue. It's like, well, if I don't do it perfect the first time, then it's not gonna, then I might as well not try. And it's like, wait, it's got to be imperfect. Just try it. And you might find something you like in that imperfection.
Yeah, and something maybe totally unexpected. I could always write down ideas that I'd had in the middle of the night, but when I started doing them, they'd go off on a tangent and become something totally different. But that would never have happened had I not started.
Mm-hmm.
And also I have a suitcase full of things that didn't work that may work if I cover them in paint or I cover them in plaster. That when you've got a lot of techniques at your disposal, you can kind of play around with that. Or you might come across a new technique and then you're like, I'll just use this fabric that didn't work within this, or cut it up into tiny squares and use that textural fabric in something else. So yeah.
Beth, the quilt cutter. Beth just
Yes.
cut a quilt. Yep.
I had a quilt that I've been working on since 2016 and I've never liked it. And I was with some friends and I said, okay, I need to cut this. And we were moving it around and looking at it. And they're like, I didn't want to cut it right away. I had beads in it and I wanted to secure the beads,
Okay.
but they wanted to make sure I would cut it. So I took a ballpoint pen and drew a line. And once I drew that line, that ballpoint pen, it's really hard to get ballpoint pen out,
Yes.
right? The line was there, it was coming out. And I
Oh, I
did the other
love it.
day, I paired the beads and just
Wonderful.
it,
Did it
and I
feel
feel
good to do
so
that?
much better. Oh
Yeah.
yes, I can't wait. I'm going to take more off. I'm taking stuff off so I can put more different
Yeah.
on. And my mind is just buzzing because I can see it right across the room from me. And I'm like, oh, paint that area right there. I think that's what I need to do. I need to get some ecru paint and paint over that. And I'm like, okay, wait, no, you're doing a podcast. You can't get up and do that.
Oh, I love it that you're inspired in the podcast. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 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 no.
All of this, all of this sounds, fantastic in terms of play and what if and inspiration and all those things. But I can just hear somebody's going to say, okay, good for you, but at some point you have to pay the bills. So how do you focus that enough to start to generate something that generates money?
So for a long time before I opened No Rules, I was selling samples, I was doing in-person workshops, and then I was also writing books. So it
Okay.
was like, and for a while I ran a fashion company. So it was upcycling sort of felted cardigans, and I was selling those as kind of one-off pieces with embroidery on them. And then I was also working for a cashmere company, and I kind of designed and did their piecework embroidery. Oh my goodness. I hate anything where I have to do the same thing twice. I used to just, the only way I can get through that is listening to audiobooks, even like housework. I'm like, audiobooks. So, yeah. And then when all that work stopped in the pandemic, I had done an online course in creating an online course. And I was like, it's time to empty my head into my computer.
Oh.
And I had started by then thinking, because the thing was about making these seeds of ideas for sample ideas for companies, was that they were always, I would sell the copyright. So it was always very secret and I couldn't show them. And so I kind of wanted, for years, I had wanted to transition so that I could show everything. And I'm sort of almost fully transitioned now. So but I'd done so many years of play that I had so many techniques that I'd never really shown anyone. So many ideas where I was like cutting things up like Beth did, like changing them. And I just, I wanted to sort of show that. So I started creating online courses. And the first online course I created was experimental needle felting, because I'd written 2 books on that. And I thought, well, I know how a structure can look. I just have to make it like a visual book. And so that's what I did. And then I think I did no rules patchwork because I'd written a patchwork book, even though I'm not a patchworker at all. But I know that in my samples, I've been doing things that vaguely kind of were like a no rules take on Seminole patchwork or, or log cabin. I kind of done it, but with raw edges or like patching within the log cabin and or using the back as the front so that those frayed bits looked amazing. I'm always interested in how the back of something looks. So I put all that into this completely no exact measuring, tearing things up patchwork course, which actually was kind of inspiring me. I kind of feel like these courses, they're more like sparks of ideas. You could just watch one of the kind of videos and go off for like 3 weeks on that tangent and then sort of come back. So they're all kind of instant access. And I get so excited when anyone signs up for them. I'm like, who are you? What do you do? So I have these monthly open studio hours that anyone that does one of my courses can come and talk to me in the studio on Zoom once a month. And I kind of vary the times. So it's really lovely when I get to meet people that are doing them. And then I did a hashtag challenge called Fabric Recipes. I kind of felt like from all the years of playing, I had all these techniques and processes and ideas, but it was all very instinctual how I was kind of using them. And I have so many ideas and can talk forever that I needed to kind of put some parameters around them. And also it's easier when you have parameters on play to really explore everything. So I put these fabric recipes down as a hashtag challenge in the February, I think it was, of 2021. And there was like lace and dots and stripes and, all the things that I use in my work and patchwork. And everyone kind of played along. And then they were like, we want to do this more. We want more time on each one of the prompts. And the platform that I was using had this facility to run a community. And I was in a membership called Connected Artists Club at that point, and I loved it. But it was all painters. And I also learned so much from that cross-disciplinary thing of how painters work. But I wanted my own membership selfishly for me so that I could talk to other people. So the way that I kind of publicized it was quite niche. And I was like, does anyone else like start before the teacher's finished and have 20 million ideas and want to come and play? And we'll concentrate on one prompt a month and we'll do that. And so, people joined me. And that's when No Rules Textile Society was born. And now we're on prompt 47, I think. We've kind of done nearly 5 years of prompts, which is really amazing.
So that's the backbone of No Rules Textile Society is just prompts and what people do with them and how they interact and share what they've done.
So what it is I will, again, very instinctively choose a prompt. And at the beginning, actually, I had a jar of prompts and I was picking it. And then I'd have to make the lessons around it, but that didn't feel right. So I soon sort of changed that. And we changed it to 6 weeks so we have more time on the prompts. But so say I pick lace, I would go through my archive because I've got a big archive of samples because I obviously didn't sell every sample that I was creating. So, and I had all those samples back. And then I would look at how I use lace, chop really beautiful floral lace into geometrics and like use it like that. And I would make all these videos. And then basically, because it's No Rules, everyone would probably just ignore the videos, but get sparks of ideas and do it their way. Right. And then we meet up on Zoom every week and just discuss loosely based around the prompt. Sometimes, as Holly was saying in her podcast, they ignore it and they carry on with what they're doing. But I think you have this prompt and it kind of rolls around your head. You're just noticing. And that's such a beautiful thing. It kind of opens your eyes every time you'll see some lace. You'll be like, oh, this, or could I print with it? Or, how could I use it differently? Mm-hmm. And I think the very first course that I made, actually, which I put in No Rules at the first summer of No Rules, was called One Fabric, 10 Ways. And I think that always follows me. So whatever I'm doing, when I discovered gel printing, for example, I was like, right, gel printing 25 ways, and made a course on it. I was like, what happens if we do paper patchwork and put it on the gel plate? What happens if I stitch the paper and put it on the gel plate? What happens if I stitch without any thread in the machine? All of these things. And then what happens if I have a water soluble fabric sample that I've made that I didn't love? Let's stick it on the gel plate and change its color. Everything becomes a massive interchangeable cross-pollination possibility. And that just thrills me completely.
Yeah.
Well, and you made me think. I was doing research for this, and I started I don't remember her name, but she was doing pleating with the pleating machine. And
Yeah.
immediately my mind exploded as to, okay, because then I got to the point where she'd taken the pleating out and then she'd done some printing on it.
Oh, that's
All I could
cool.
think of,
It wasn't that my film.
that was yours.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, all I could think of is, okay, what can we do next? Can we do
Yeah.
shibori dyeing on it? What if I pulled, I don't think the machine would do gold thread, but if I pulled gold thread through it, with that had sparkle to it, and then if I painted on top, I'm like, oh, do I know anybody with a pleating machine? It's my next spot. I'm like, oh
Honestly,
no, I'm in trouble.
we were at we have sometimes we all get together in person, and it's the best thing ever. And somebody was like, what happens if we put paper through it? Is that gonna what's that gonna do? And I was like, I don't know. Is it gonna break it? But let's try it. Yeah. So
Right.
yeah. Sorry, I thought you said you'd seen the film, and I was like, no, it's mine.
No, no.
That was so much fun to make.
Yeah, that was great. It was great. It was fantastic. Just got my mind going. It's like, oh no, this is bad in a good
That's
way.
what I wanted to do with that film. I just wanted it to be a 90-second spark of, can I just spark people just from that? A sort of peek into the studio.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me how many times you said "what if" in the last 10 minutes. But no, I mean that speaks to the very core of it for me. Is that is what's in your head all the time. What if? What if? What if? Let's try.
But the wonderful thing about this is, I think then it knocks onto your life. You kind of, when you start living like that within your art, you can live with possibilities in your life, in other areas of your life, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I think it makes life more joyous. Because you're noticing. I thought about that today. If you're noticing what you love in your work and sort of hopping to the next thing, you can sometimes, not always, but do that in your life, and it makes for a more joyous life, I think. And then that can ripple out to the people around you, and that can only be a really good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So the No Rules Textile Society, it sounds to me like it really evolved. It wasn't like you sat down one day and said, I'm going to create this thing. It just kind of evolved, and then you put a label on it and somewhat of a structure to it, but not really.
Yeah. I mean, it felt incredibly scary. I remember thinking, this feels like I'm jumping off a cliff, to kind of go. But it also felt really exciting and very, very me, So I just did it. I think it was incremental steps of going, can I really run a hashtag challenge on Instagram? Would anyone join in? And they did. And even to the point now where, just if I want to do something in my social life, I'll just create a WhatsApp group and go, is anyone up for doing this? Anyone up for going walking, in the middle of the night? Yes. Oh, great. Let's do that. I've always loved night hiking from when I was in sort of guides. I loved going on these hikes at night and the moonlight and the woods. And I thought, well, why not? Let's do it now. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of, yeah, it's really just leaning into all the weird stuff that you kind of like.
Is it making, don't you think that it makes us less fearful, less afraid to try the new things in your, if you're doing it in your art, you're less
Yes.
afraid to try things in your real life, I guess, is air quoting that. But I think that's what I keep hearing. That's
Don't you think when you cut up your quilt, Beth, you felt quite fearless? Did it feel
Mhm.
really good? Yeah.
It felt wonderful. It felt wonderful. I can't wait to go out. I got my scissors ready. I'm going to cut up more of it. Just can't wait.
So cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious because yeah, what you asked if we thought you were crazy for doing it, and but that's the thing where you said it just bugged you. It wasn't right. But
Yeah.
but the thing that I find interesting, Beth, is a lot of people would just throw it away. But you didn't do that. You said it's not right, but let's see what I can do with it that maybe becomes right. Whatever right is. But it didn't just go in the trash. You got the scissors out and say, all right, let's see what we can do that turns it around. And
We
I
even
mean,
discussed it, putting it on the back of a jean jacket. We were like, well, this section you could just put on the back of your jean jacket, and there you go. It'd be, why not
yeah.
cut it and make patches? Who cares?
But I think
And then,
that's really interesting as well. Like Gary, you said, when you were sort of saying that Beth, she knew that it was off and it wasn't right for her. That also, what if you can learn to sort of change that in your quilt, there may be things in your life that are just off, and you're like, this isn't right.
Mhm.
It helps you kind of notice those things in your life too. I mean, we can't always change things, but we can be more in touch with ourselves when we're kind of doing things that we don't maybe really want to do.
yeah,
Right, 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 right.
but how many people just put up with it? It's not right, but just put up with it instead
Mm.
of taking that one step that changes it.
Or just think, I must finish it anyway,
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's what I must do. And I
Mhm.
think there's this massive freedom in going, I don't have to finish it. In fact, I'm going to cut it up. I'm going to try it all these different ways. And sometimes that doesn't work either. And sometimes it does end up in the bin. It's rare, because things do just float around my studio. And sometimes, Beth, I will put everything in the washing machine and put it in a dye, see how that comes out. Then they're felt a bit as well. And I get unexpected surprises and go, I like that. It's all to play for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and even that was the other thing. I at one point even told people, I'm just going to take a brayer, a big paintbrush, and paint over the whole thing. And people were just like, you would have thought I was killing my first child or something. I was like, no, it's okay. If I do it, it's just cloth and paint and time. I mean, those are the three major parts, right?
Do you know, Beth, I have a feeling that there's going to be pain
There
for
is.
definite.
I can already see it. In fact, I was just thinking, I've got a section that's bumpy, and I'm wondering if I take paint
Yes.
and then use that as a print. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't do any more work. I must leave. I must go play.
I was just gonna say if Beth suddenly just disappears from the screen, we know what happened. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, if you don't put too much paint on it and you just roller it over, you'll just catch the bits that are raised. Yeah.
Right. That's just
And
what it
what a
needs.
thrill that is when you go, oh, there's a transformation. And it's,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. Or printing with the jelly plate, which is always fun. Yeah.
Always fun. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
I've now on my desk got my old Singer sewing machine, the gel plate, and iron. And this is the other thing actually that I was going to say. I could move to the countryside and I could carry on doing this because really the tools that it takes to do this stuff, they're not that expensive and they're movable. And you can pick up old Singers quite easily. And yeah, it's and I've got a 201k, which is kind of unbreakable,
Well,
which
there's
is
that. Yeah,
needed.
yeah. I lifted out of your website, and I thought this. I wanted you to expand on it a little bit. A community, society, a community that supports both wild mess and serious intention. Because I just like the cloth that's behind you, which is clearly organized, but you can see how it could just become on a tabletop all kinds of things, and you've got just a wall of all types of cloth there, and I can just see it when your mind gets going and stuff starts flying all around the room, and that what if question is just driving everything. That
The
yeah.
only reason this is tidy is A, because I had a filmmaker recently in the studio, but B, because I can fit more in this way.
Okay.
And if you could see in front of me, the whole desk is just a mishmash of all kinds of stuff. The studio is quite chaotic. It's almost like I kind of go in chaos, and then every now and then I clear up. But then as I'm clearing up, I'm getting inspired and I'm making more stuff. So it kind of just wheels round. It's only when it gets actually like a health, a sort of safety hazard that I'm going to fall over stuff. Do I kind of, or I get so overwhelmed that I have to like put everything back and, and then start again. Wildness is also a thing about play. I think very often from the mess and the play comes really seriously good work.
Mm-hmm. Do,
I think just, yeah.
do you
That's kind of the
sometimes
reference.
have do you sometimes have to walk away and come back a
Yeah,
day later?
very much so.
Okay.
Sometimes I walk away from a thing and I'll come back like 15 years later and go, oh, quite like that now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Things have surfaced from my degree, or sometimes I'll make something and it'll be one thing and then I'll come back to it. And I think from my days in fashion, I quite often would be like, why do I like this now? Something about it I like. I think if you're continually looking and watching what's happening in interiors or exhibitions, or you just get this sense of what feels right.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be me. And I think that was also what I was sort of writing today and thinking about today. I think through this play, you discover the sort of ingredients list of what you love. And then those become almost like your parameters. It's, you can, there's definite themes that I'll always have in my work.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time, I couldn't see that it all kind of connected, that there would be pleating or some sort of lace or some passementerie, but it does look like me because I definitely have colors that I love. A lot of it's black and white, or it's quite ethereal, or it's kind of abstract mixed with vintage. It's always got those ingredients to it. Sorry, I'll go off on a tangent with
No,
everything.
no.
No, but I think that's important to note. I think that's the I've been thinking a lot. I talked to a friend, and she works in series, and I think as she works in a series, it helps her. You see the same sort of ideas flow through all her work, but it's you can see it's hers, it's her work,
Yeah,
but it's grown over time. If you looked at the first thing she did to what she's doing now, it's
yeah.
amazing how she's changed and grown as an artist, but it's all her and it's all connected. It's like a stream. And it all
Mm.
started, I remember when we started playing with textiles together. And yeah, it's just amazing.
As a mother, do you see education and life taking creativity out of your kids? Do you fight that? Do you try to instill it? How do you deal with that? Because that was the other thing we were talking about the other day was how the education process in society in general just sucks the creativity out of all of us. And in my mind, and I don't know how many people agree. To me, the artists are the survivors. They're the ones who would not give up their creativity. And I mean, you're a classic example of that. The rest of us have fallen in line. You know, we've marched to the beat, just path of least resistance, or because you figure that's the way I have to do it to get through life. And then there's people like you who just refused at every turn to give it up. But so, do you, as a mother though, do you see that in your kids? Do you see them lose creativity? Do you fight it?
I think it's really strange. It's kind of, I am running a no rules society whilst my kids are in mainstream education. And yeah, I kind of, I kind of, I don't always agree. I kind of, I still see that like academic, like maths, is much more higher up the scale than art, or creative subjects, and it's so frustrating because I think that artists, the or creative thinking is the innovation that we all need.
Mm-hmm.
It should be valued so much more. But I also think that by default they kind of have grown up with an art studio in their house and a
Yeah.
mum who's doing things differently. So hopefully that just knocks on. Although, yeah, my daughter does express her makeup very creatively and gets told off every day at school. And there's part of me that kind of thinks if she was wearing a banner with a maths equation on it, she'd be fine. But I know they all have to toe the line a bit, but she does. I think she wants to go and do makeup and things like that. So, you know, I love seeing, I'm quite proud of her for what she does
Uh-huh.
and how creative she is. So, yeah, it's tricky, but I
Yeah.
do have to get her to toe the line a bit because we
Yeah,
all do a
yeah.
bit, don't
And
we?
sometimes they, at some point, they do have to learn the math and the science and the grammar and
Yeah.
those things. I mean, those are
Oh
unmovable.
yeah,
But
and
yeah,
I'm constantly telling her how important that is because we can say that you're living a creative life, but a lot of my life is spent working out tech and admin and all of those, doing my accounts. As we all know, we're all of those things, aren't
yeah,
we? When we're a sort of entrepreneur, and not much of it, of the percentage of the time, actually is creating. It is because I'm sitting in a really creative studio, and I'm so very blessed to do this, and I thank my lucky stars every day that I'm kind of doing. I get to do what I love, and I get flexibility within it, everything,
hmm,
and I get to be around incredible people. But I think that's taken a bit of a bravery to be really niche and go,
yeah,
like, if this resonates with you, this is the right place for you. And the membership isn't huge. There's not, there's 80, I think, people in it at the moment, and
hmm,
I know everyone, and I like it that way. Well,
hmm,
those people, some people come into the membership and they just watch, and I've never met them, or we just have emails, occasional emails coming through, but they love it and they watch the discussions. It's like a kind of podcast with lots of people on it, and they get to know the people that regularly come to the Zooms, and so you can use it however you want to use it. There's a no rules element to that, but I love the friends that I've made through it. Incredible people. It's a good job. It's global. It kind of couldn't work if I was doing this in person. It just extraordinary souls come together that are
yeah,
very
yeah,
similar but different, you
yeah.
know.
That's interesting that you have members who it sounds like just basically sit in the background and
Yeah,
absorb, and so no rules, so then no obligation to participate.
exactly. But
Just
I think that's the thing. Everyone's so different. Not everybody wants to come to a Zoom and participate in it. Some
yeah,
people just really want to watch. One of my members wrote to me once and said, it's like watching Wimbledon because when you're a kind of amateur tennis player, and I'm
yeah,
just learning so much and getting so many recommendations and these words that I have to look up words and sort of see what you're all doing. Not that we're all really, we're all mixed sort of in our sort of abilities and but everyone's got their kind of superpower,
hmm,
and I love that. And everyone's so respectful of each other, and champions each other and encourages each other. It's a real enabling kind of group. Yeah, just go and try it. Go and do
Yeah.
it. Do
Yeah.
this. Be yourself. We'll champion you,
Yeah.
which doesn't always happen. You can be doing your work and somebody's behind you going, but what is it? And what's it for? And why are you doing it? And nobody ever asks those questions. Or sometimes they do when they first come in, they're like, but why? How? But soon enough, they're like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm allowed. I'll
Yeah.
just do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do some nuts and bolts on the society. So people who
Okay.
might be interested in participating, how does it work? I mean, is it a sign your name, pay a fee, take a class? How do I if I've never done it? I want to be a member. Beth wants to be
Yeah.
a member. I can tell. How does
Yes.
how does one get into this system, this community?
So most people pay a monthly fee to so you sort of pay and you can come in and you can just stay for a month if you want to, and there's immediate access to all of the sort of 46 prompts. And we also have guest artists come in, so if I'm doing a prompt and I think, oh, it'd be one, it's a lovely excuse to kind of get people in and talk to different artists about their work and how they know rules. Normally, people that know rules are in different disciplines, like Sally Hurst, who does kind of experimental printmaking. I'll get her in to talk or do a workshop, and then there'll be, for example, Holly did a member workshop for us. So members will go, oh, I'd quite like to teach this. It's amazing to throw your idea out to all these amazing minds, I guess, and we'll see it in all different ways because nobody's going to make the same thing. They're going to go, oh, well, okay, I'll do it this way, and they can then see how it's done. And so, yeah, so you can either pay for a year or you can just pay. It's a sort of until you end your subscription, you just pay monthly basically, and
Hmm.
just come in, and then you've just got access to all of that. There's a member chat going on in the which is kind of like a sort of social media for only us, where you can put stuff up and or go, what do you think about this? And other members I'll always reply as well,
Uh,
and just share things. And so that's kind of how it works. It's
okay, and
kind of a
then
long, I guess. I think a membership's quite special in the fact that it's not going to have an end. It's for people that are always going to be committed to their textile practice, I
mhm.
guess. And they're just going to let it evolve. And they want to have team members in that will talk to them. And yeah, I leave every Zoom with cheesecake because I'm smiling so much. I just love it.
Now the Zoom
Normally,
thing is the Zoom thing on a schedule or is that random?
it's quite it's random. You knew
Yeah.
it was random. And so I announce all the next 6 weeks Zooms, and it'll be different days, different times, so that everybody around the world can kind of make it. People that
Uh-huh.
work can make it, at least, 2 or 3 of them. Some people come to all of them. And then we all get on screen, and generally how it works is I'll say hi and say what I've been up to that week, and then we'll go around to everybody and see what they've been up to. And I kind of, in my email, I always go, if you don't want to participate, just ping me a quick email and you can come on, and I won't go, so Beth, what have you been up to?
Uh,
But it's lovely. I think that's quite scary sometimes, but it's really great. It makes you kind of share what you've been doing. And we love it because people are just pull up a piece and say, I've done this. And I'll tell you the process. And we're all just speaking each other's language, really.
hmm. Yeah.
I think that what's interesting to me is, and this is the reason I'm interested in this site, there's other than a couple of friends here locally, there's not many people who are doing things that are uh, more art based. We have a lot of quilters in the area. I belong to my local embroidery guild. They do very formal work.
Mm.
Um, but to take textiles and move them into that next step And to have some people that you could say, I'm thinking about doing this, and they know what you're saying, they understand it, the concept, the basic, and they say, go for it. And that encouragement of other people. I think that's what intrigues me about this. And that's what I heard Holly say when I heard that interview.
Mm,
I was like, she's saying she found her tribe of people who are encouraging her to push the boundaries of her art.
yes, that. And what also I love is that we've just had a wood sculpture join I
Oh,
don't know what you call them, but or we've got somebody that's a collage artist that's been in it for. I invited Margaret Ryle. I invited her in to talk to us about collage, and she was like, "Hang on, I love what you're doing. I love the way you think. I'm joining." But she rarely uses textiles. When she does, it's amazing.
hmm.
But she's thinking in this way, the same way as us. And I love that. I love the cross pollination of it. And I also think that that kind of gives this window to textiles to be part of everything as well. I want our textiles to sit next to sculptures and paintings in galleries. It's and they do, and that really excites me.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't really matter the medium. And also then we'll also, like when you were saying, and what happens if I do this? What happens if I print it with concrete? This is what happens. It's like, yes, do that.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
Right. Why not?
Dip the quilt in concrete. Plaster.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
paying to watch that. I'm paying to watch that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it really is, you talk about textiles in the same exhibition, if you will, with painting and sculpting. It needs to be, and there are pockets in the world. I think Australia is way ahead in many ways in accepting and celebrating textile arts as an art form. We see pockets of it in the U.S., but we need more of that. It needs to, it's that old, it's not women's work, it's art, and
exactly
it
that.
needs to be on that level. Um,
Right.
that yeah, that's I mean in some areas that's tough to pull off, but
I think it's happening though, like you
yeah,
say, it is happening. And
yeah,
I just feel like that's kind of where we are. We're all quite, yeah, fierce and doing it
yeah.
our way.
Is the society where you want it now, or is it evolving and you intend for it to evolve?
I think again, it's kind of, oh, I'm really happy where it is now.
Okay.
I love it. It's me that wants to be a member of my own society now.
Okay.
I want to have more time to be a member.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like there's a big, big library in there. And now it's time to really play, for me to play within it and for them. And I don't worry about it anymore. I trust my instincts that it will
Hmm.
go the right way. And
Yeah.
every time we get new members, it's so very exciting. And that shapes how it
Right.
is.
Uh huh.
So it changes all the time. And
Yeah.
I can't really tell. But as long as I'm doing what I feel like I'm in alignment with, I trust that it will be okay.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think no rules have taught me that as well. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's got to be an element of frustration because at some point you have to do the admin work when you really want to. Yeah. Yeah.
oh, I'm always going off but I let myself now. I trust that that's also how it is. If I'm in the middle of doing something and I just really have an idea and I just go and do it.
Hmm.
I just joyously hop around the studio as long as everything gets done. Give myself false deadlines sometimes in order for that to happen, but I've always done that.
Yeah.
Even my degree show, I finished it 3 weeks before because I'd just given myself a false deadline because I knew that I would go off on tangents.
She knows herself well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Jayne, thanks so much. Wow. So it's no rules textile society is where you go to find all this fun and this creativity and books there, classes, lots of classes. What? Yeah, we need to talk about classes. So what? Talk about the classes that you offer. What can people do there?
So these are separate and they're not included
Right,
in the membership. So they're
right.
more like deep dives. And so I talked about experimental needle felting, no rules patchwork. Then I did one called water soluble magic. And I think that's kind of my favorite. I couldn't finish it. Water soluble fabric has always been something that I find incredibly magical and I've always used in my work. So just the fact that you can use it as an ingredient and then wash it out and let the stitches float creates so many possibilities, you know, for making lace or for getting highly textural things that then you can put a layer of this on and then stitch into it, all kinds of things. So I love that course. That's possibly my favorite course, water soluble. Um, and then I discovered the gel plate. So I did gel printing on and with textiles because I just saw so many possibilities. I wanted to try every single textile technique with it. And the fact that you get a kind of paper print and you get a fabric print quite often, because if you've gathered fabric, you can then put that on the plate, take that off, and then get the print both on the fabric when you kind of I love that, Beth, that kind of shibori type thing that you can get. I mean, again, it thrills me because it's impatient, it's quick, it's like you can spend half an hour on the gel plate and do so many things and you'll get one thing that you love. So it forces that thing that like loads of them might just be there, but
Right.
oh, that. And what if I roll some thread along it and see what that happens then, so
And
that.
have you tried dye thickener on it? That's the only thing I wanted
No,
to
I
ask you.
haven't. You mentioned that
Oh, you've got
actually.
it.
No,
You need to try that. Mm.
I have to try that. Yeah. And then there's a smaller course called No Rules Hand Stitching. I rarely do hand stitching because, as you've imagined, I'm impatient. But that course was just the idea of taking furnishing fabrics or fabrics that have kind of floating weaves that you can use them as a guide and play around with that. So that's kind of a sort of smaller course. So yeah, there's those courses. I want to do more. I'd love to use no rules textile society as the incubator, and
Ah,
I'd like to then take like the paper prompt and expand on that, but I'll film myself sparking from the prompt and make that bigger.
uh-huh.
But I'll do that eventually. I've got
Yeah.
loads of ideas that I
Yeah.
can
Yeah, we can
carry
tell.
on doing.
We can tell. Yeah. They're
or
falling
or
out of your
just
head.
expand on it and make art. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure where it'll go, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Now, all these courses are recorded videos so people can sign on and then do them at their own pace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, somebody just bought Water Soluble Magic and she was like, oh, I just binge watched it like Netflix. And then I didn't realize people would do that, but they do. They'll watch everything and then they'll go, okay, I was sparked by this bit, and this bit.
Ah,
And I'll often do that with courses as well because you don't have it's not the kind of thing like, oh, it's this step and then it's this step. It is like it's a firework of ideas, I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And you're just taking the bits that spark you at that point.
Right. Right. Okay. Now we'll wrap up. All right. Jayne, thanks so much. So, No Rules Textile Society, all the stuff is there. You can join that. The classes are there, the books, it's all there. And Jayne has her own site where that's your place where your work.
So
Yeah.
I'm at janeemerson.co.uk. That's Jane with a Y, one M. And also on Instagram at Jayne Emerson Textiles, you can see all my explorations. And then at No Rules Textile Society is where I kind of share the members' work. So there's kind of 2 Instagram sites and 2 websites at the minute. So yeah.
Yeah. I'll have all those in
And
the
it's
show notes. Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, Jayne, thanks so much. Wow. Thanks for doing this.
Oh,
Really appreciate it. Oh, one
one
more
more
thing.
thing. actually, there's a lot of the member spotlights over on my YouTube channel as well. I
Oh,
kind of shared them there. So there's quite a lot there that you could have a look at, including the film that Beth was talking about.
okay. All those links in the show notes. So, yeah, check them out. All right. Jayne, thanks so
Thank you
much. We
so
really
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been so much fun.
All right. Thanks to everyone for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.